Pre-order my book, American Evil, in the description below. Making fun of Stellar Blade is old hat at this point. Making fun of Koreans and the PlayStation and the online Coomer audience, all of that is over and done with, right? People are doing damage control for Shift Up right now. Oh, they uncensored Stellar Blade. You're seeing people come out and try to make excuses for this mid new IP on a mid piece of hardware, well, below mid, like just absolute zero piece of hardware, the PlayStation 5. You see people like rolling back all of their complaints about the game and like not talking about the real problems it has and talking about the conflict. Like, again, people are making excuses for what Shift Up did. And I've talked about this at length. I expected this to happen. I had no faith in Shift Up whatsoever, but it's time to take that next step. It's time to stop complaining about Stellar Blade, and it's time to talk about the sacred cow. It's time to go in directions that nobody should have to go through. Like, it is time we go after Nikkei, Goddess of Victory, the game that endlessly generates profits according to the audience. I've heard a lot of people like make these weird statements about how this game is like the most popular mobile game in Korea. It's really popular with female audiences. It's this like hugely popular, successful thing. And oh, it's so good, guys. Look at these. Look at all these gacha mechanics. Oh, I would rather spend $500 on Nikkei rolls than I would buying a PlayStation 5. Like, you see these guys like gushing about this game, like, oh, it's so wholesome. Like, it is complete crap. Okay. Like, the fact that this is what the mobile audience is playing really demonstrates, I think, the problem with the mobile gaming sphere and why it is never ever going to be taken seriously as a video game platform, because all it is whales throwing money at a mediocre game in order to get skins for their characters. Now, I went ahead and like downloaded Nikkei, so I had like firsthand experiences regarding how this game actually works. And yeah, the presentation is nice. I like the models. Some of the enemy designs are cool. Like, it's better produced than like any other mobile game I've ever seen, right? But that's it. Like, when you actually look at the mechanics, when you actually look at like everything that could constitute as a game, you get something that you just endlessly pour money into. Like, why? So you can like put more money into it later. Like, objectively, the mobile game grind is just completely pointless, right? Like, what exactly are you working towards to like pulling Nikkeis, right? Like, what exactly are you doing going through this campaign? Like, I can certainly tell you that nobody is invested in the plot, or should I say, like, the real plot, and not the plot of like all these anime waifus, right? Like, it's like, how exactly is this supposed to like save the video game industry? And this is the big thing about like Gamergate 2 and the recent rash of like people hyper focusing on like the sexualization of games. Like, I don't think this is the hill to die on, right? If anything, I think Nikkei is an example of toxic behavior from developers and consumers, right? This enabling of microtransactions, this worship of a brand and not like an actual video game, right? This obsession with waifus, right? The obsession with like having jiggle and having like the girls wear as little as possible. Like, oh, you can go on the shop in game and like see that like you can buy bikinis for the girls for like $20, and there are like probably hundreds of characters in this game. I don't know how many there are, but like, you know, imagine how much money you would have to put into it in order to like get everything. Like, you have to get your Nikkei rolls. And by the way, like, I have confirmed you can get duplicates. So you're not going to be getting new Nikkeis every time. You're going to be seeing the same faces, hearing the same voice lines over and over and over and over and over again, desperately waiting to get something new, right? And when you do get one, it's you can't really do anything with her. She's just like a still image, right? Like, yeah, you have more playable characters for the campaign. Whoop de doo, right? The campaign where you just like move your finger around and just shoot targets. Like, like what why do I need like new Nikkeis for that? I already have a bunch of them. Like, oh, but the new ones are better. But again, like I think I'm shocked this hasn't happened already. Why have we not gotten a really good JRPG out of the mobile space? Because like looking at this game and seeing how high the production values are, like I feel almost like we're almost there. Like I think if they were able to do more with the Nikkei system, like having you send them out on quests or do things or like just kind of be more of an actual game. Like I think they might actually have something here, but as it stands, like there's not a whole lot to do. The storyline isn't interesting. The game is exploitive, and like, why exactly would anybody um, be interested in playing if it wasn't for the sexual gratification. And I do think this is like the issue with Nikkei and why so many spurgs, the incel community, the Coomers, right? People like V, like that weird gremlin guy and Raging Golden Eagle, like that's why they religiously defend this brand so hard because it it caters to their interests, right? It does sexualize lollies. It does have like everything they think modern games should have, and it has no real gameplay to speak of, right? Like as long as you put more money in, you can keep playing, like with no real regard to like your skill level or making any real progress in the game or accomplishing anything meaningful. Like it's just a money sink. And like when you look at it from that perspective, like why exactly would you play it? Because it isn't fun, right? It's not fulfilling, it's not a good story. Like again, the only reason this game has an audience at all is because of the Coomers. There's nothing else to it, right? Like the narrative that people have that like, oh, it's such a big game. Like I imagine it's no different than like Genshin Impact or like Honkai Star Rail, where it's just something that exists, something that's popular with streamers, and the streamers just show it to their audience, and then like these people just come in en masse, and then they just I don't know, like it's weird to see like how Nikkei has become like this defining thing in the gaming space over the past year and a half since its launch because I do feel like it's quickly become like the go-to game among like the censor shitters, the people that I cannot hate, that I cannot stand, right? Like it is like the de facto just Coomer game right now, and it constantly gets brought up when comparing it to console games and Stellar Blade in particular. Like to me, I do think like actual gamers need to speak out about this more because this practice is, I think, very, very dangerous. I do think this sets a bad precedent, and I don't want to see console games adopt the mobile game model. Like I don't consider Nikkei to be a real video game, and it is not worthy of my time or respect.